Alright, hello everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Racing Guy 2448, joined by none of our co hosts again. Um, but today we are here for our weekly episode of the One Acre at a Time podcast. And yeah, I guess we'll hop right into it here. So we'll start with our first first segment here, the Backstretch Battles regular season review. So, obviously, Backstretch Battles Cup Series regular season has just come to an end, and I'd say it was a pretty good regular season. We had pretty close playoff battle. Coming down to three drivers right at the end. I think the points gap was bigger than last season for the last spot, but it was still it was a better battle than last season. Um, but yeah, I guess we'll go over the regular season. Master obviously started out with a good start to the season with 2 wins right off the bat. Obviously, he won the Backstretch 500. That's already, if you win that, you're already having that's a solid start to the season. If you win that race, that's how big it is. But yeah, obviously a good start of the season to Master. Then it kind of flip flopped around. We had Thunder steal a win, and then Pineapple and Banana Boy started going to work. They got a few wins there. Obviously we had some other winners scattered about. Doctor got a few wins. Angelo started showing up about mid-season, but yeah, for the most part, Banana Boy and Pineapple have been the two dominating. Obviously, they're the two that are in the playoffs here, two playoff leaders, and yeah, it came down to the last race for that last spot, and the 47 a truck, which on the YouTube side of things, he also drove the 25 last season, and in the Roast Stock Series, and yeah, he obviously that didn't end well for him, and because he got targeted a little bit, but you know that's ACRE for you. Next segment, we have our announcements. We only have one announcement here. Now, I don't know if this is official. Things could still change, but I believe it should pretty much be final. We will have a guest co-host on the one of the races, streamed races this weekend at the Blitz to 500. We will have guest announcer, drummer of the band, my father. We got connections. But yeah, he said he'd be a guest announcer, so as long as he isn't sick or something or things change, hopefully he can hop on for a little bit. He should be able to. But yeah, when I said he's big, he is big in size. He's like tall. He's a tall one. Next segment, documentary preview. We have the documentary coming out. First episode will be airing Thursday, so we'll have that all ready to go by then, and I think I think you guys are gonna like it. The intro episode isn't going to be anything special. It's just going to be an introduction to the drivers. Now, we don't have all the drivers fully in yet. Now, all of them have agreed to it yet, but if not, if they don't agree to it, then when they do agree, we'll just give them an introduction in whatever episode. And yeah, but this intro episode's mostly just going to be, how the drivers got into ACRE and just some backstory to, how things will go. We'll have a little bit of stuff in it, but not much. Next up, everyone's favorite segment, the penalty report. No official penalties have been declared yet, but officials are still debating. We should have it decided by Wednesday at latest Thursday, but yeah, just the way everything went was on Saturday was just absolute madness. The race Friday too. We're kind of reviewing that with Aries. I think Aries will get away fine. But I don't know. Well, our main concern is the events that went down Saturday. The only thing that's really holding us back from penalties right now is we don't want to start a civil war. So we'll try avoiding that right now. I know the U.S. has like a war scale for like, one is I can't remember if one is the worst or five is the worst, but either way, it's like three is like you have to be on watch, two is like be prepared, and one is like, yeah, we're at war, or something like that. If ACRE had one of those, we'd be. I think one is actually the worst. I think one is we're at war. We're at like a 2.5 right now, like a 2.25. Like it's be on watch, be prepared. So yeah, drivers looking up in the season. I mean, I don't know. This is an interesting season so far. I'd say Banana Boy is looking on the up. I think if he keeps showing up, he will be. I'll point out 3 drivers for each of these because we have drivers looking up and drivers looking down. For drivers looking up, I'll say Banana Boy. I think if he keeps reeling in this championship lead, he'll be there at the end to put up a fight. It's going to be tough to beat Pineapple because Pineapple, I know he wants this championship bad, but I think Banana Boy wants it just. I wouldn't say just as much, but he wants it bad too. He'll put up a fight. I don't know how big of a fight it will be, but it will be a fight. I'll say Master is looking up. He got a win at Red Fox Raceway. I think he'll carry some positive momentum. Obviously, the first playoff race didn't end very great for him, but I think he'll bounce back in the next race he appears in. And another driver looking up is going to be Dodge. He got a second career win, clutch win for him to lock himself into the playoffs. With a little shenanigans going on around him, he was able to pull it off. I think he'll be a good candidate for drivers looking up. And as for drivers looking down, first driver that comes to mind is going to be Goff. He added some solid momentum going after the clash. He took a little break from the league, came back, and first race back did not go as planned for him. And yeah, I think he's got a little bit of negative momentum going. Pineapple's in the middle. I thought about saying he's looking down just because his championship lead's getting eaten up a little bit, but that's the only real reason I can think of. So we'll keep him in the middle right now. He can't look up because he's the points leader, and he isn't gaining any momentum. So I'd say he's in the middle. So we need 2 more for looking down. Truck. Obviously, Truck is looking down. He's got no momentum right now. His confidence was killed after the events at the regular season finale. Can't say I blame him, but yeah, that was a tough pill to swallow for him. And who else? I didn't come fully prepared for this one, for this episode. I'll say I'm trying to think. Drivers. I'll say Vega. No, not Vega. I'll say Bloxy just because he didn't make the playoffs. That's going to be a little bit of a hit. I mean, he's already on a winless streak. Not making the playoffs has got to be a confidence hit. So, yeah, he isn't too. He's at like a 90-degree angle straight up as you have a ton of positive momentum. We've won the past 5 races. You're doing really good. Like 1 degree up is just barely any positive momentum. He's at 15 degrees now. It's not much. I'd say a 45 is standard for downhill. He's at a 15. It isn't much negative momentum, but it still is a little bit. So that wraps up the first half, or at least the first half of the segments here on this podcast. And with that, we have an ad read. I paid myself a whole $1 for this. I transferred $1 from the left hand to the right hand. Racing Guys, a racing YouTube channel with semi-consistent uploading. and is on the way to 1K subs. So subscribe to Racing Guy 2448 to help the cause. That ad was so expensive. Anyway, next up, we are going to address the Red Fox Raceway race because first part of that race, first like 15 laps, actually give or take like 30 laps, not very good. We have people joining in and out, and never really got more than 8 laps going. And then in the middle part of the race, we had like 2 or 3 like 12 plus lap runs, which that was nice. That was, you had a lot of you had some battles throughout the pack. You had track position was very important in the race, which I think led to part of the problem we'll discuss in a second. And then the last part of the race was a disaster. And I was frustrated because my race was, anytime I made any forward progress, it would just get erased immediately. Anytime I take the lead, caution would come out pretty quick. So it was just, annoying. But so yeah, that stung. But so I was frustrated. Obviously, other drivers were, trying to take advantage of that. Ended up backfiring. It was just the whole last part of the race was a disaster. And I think there were a few things that led to that. Number one, full server, and a relatively narrow racing line track. The track itself is kind of wide, but the racing line itself is like 1 lane, maybe 2 lanes at some of the turns. But for the most part, it's 1 lane. There's a full server. Everyone's going for the win. And it's that late in the race. There's going to be some crashing happening. Another thing, too, track position was super important. If you got away by like a second and a half, 2 seconds, and there was a little bit of a battle for second place, for second and third, you were gone. You were going to take off by like 15 seconds. Didn't matter who it was, it was just going to happen. So I think that also played a part of it. So, I mean, just overall, complete disaster of a race there at the end. Obviously unacceptable with the what's the word, racing etiquette here. But that's just gonna happen sometimes. I don't know much of what to do to keep that from happening, because even when there were cautions, it was a different person wrecking every time, and it started so late in the race that we couldn't even get to people out in DNF because there were so many people. It was different people wrecking every time. That madness started with like 20 laps to go, and we would get like 1 or 2 laps in every time, so nobody was even DNFing out, because a lot of the times it was just like block seeker or something. So we was already out of the race. So it was just a disaster. Unfortunate series of events there. Now, as I mentioned, the reason we were holding back on doing penalties is because we didn't want a civil war. In the event of a civil war, for ACRE, to be the second ACRE war in its short history, we are going. RGA is obviously going to stand its ground. The officials side with us, and we're gonna just try to keep everything together. We've won 1 war, we can win another, and we're just gonna stand strong, hold our ground, absolutely annihilate them, and go back to business as usual, and hopefully we don't lose any drivers from it. Next up, we only have a few more segments here. Backstretch Battles playoff preview. Now, obviously, the first race has already happened, but I think it's still going to be something to look at. You have Dodge last in the standings. He's over 100 points out. He's going to need a race where Pineapple doesn't show up, and he's probably going to have to either win, maybe finish second, but he's probably going to have to win to keep his championship hopes in a relatively good position. It's going to be tough to come back for that if you're Dodge. Dr. Angelo, also the drivers that are kind of far back, those guys might be in a little bit of trouble. All of them are still mathematically in it, but some of them is going to be tough to come back from. I would keep an eye on Master, Banana Boy, and Pineapple. It's gonna go down to those 3 for the title. realistically Banana Boy and Pineapple, but Master can put up a fight if he strings together a bunch of good races compared to Pineapple and Banana Boy. 6 races left. We have all the chaotic maps. We got Cliffside Ride, Canyon Run, all half pipe, Celestial Road. Is going to be quite the battle. Which, speaking of that, that leads into our next segment, the upcoming schedule. So, look at our next 10 or so races here. So, for the Baxter's Palace Cup Series, we only have 6 races left. For planning, we're gonna just kind of keep the schedule the same: Friday, Saturday, Sunday races. That's the plan, at least. So for the Baxter's Palace side of things, Sonoma Hills, March 15th, which would be Friday. That'd be Friday night. This is the plan. It still could change. Canyon Run, Saturday. That is a 3:30. Well, I'm not even gonna say times. Forget 3:30. That's not a time. That will be Saturday. I just have times written on here for an idea. Those could change at any time. This is not the official schedule at all. The days is what I would count on here. And then we have Cliffside Ride on St. Patrick's Day Sunday. Again, this could change, but things could come up. I might not be able to make races, so it could change. But that is the plan. And then the weekend after, we have our last races here before we have a 2-week break on the point schedule side of things. We'll restart that Sunday of like the second week in April, I think, or third week in April. April 14th, I think, is the day I have planned, but I don't know. We'll see. Final crown jewel of the Baxter's Battle season, Rainbow 500. That will be Friday night. Classic Hills on the Saturday after that for the second to last race of the season, and the season finale at Half Pipe that Sunday. And that is the next. Those are the 6 races. And then if I go to the streamed race schedule, okay, perfect. So this is gonna take us basically to the Cars Cup here with these streamed races. So Saturday we have a doubleheader plan on the streamed races, 2 Rockingham races in full pack. So that'll be fun to watch, both on Saturday the 16th. That's the plan. Vinland, March 30th streamed race. That'll be another fun one to watch. And then we have Wellington on April 6th. So those are our Vinland and Wellington are row stock. So those are our next 10 races here we got planned. We're already a little bit over a tenth of a way through the schedule, through the season. So, season's going by pretty quick. We don't have any questions from the last one. So, I guess that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast, guys. If you want to see more, follow, subscribe to the ACRE channel on the YouTube side of things and the Spotify side of things. Follow the podcast for more updates on ACRE. Subscribe to @ACRE Racing League on YouTube to watch the races yourself, or subscribe to Racing at 244 for streamed races. Actually, they might be transferring over to the main ACRE channel now because I can stream now on that. So I don't know. I got to figure that out. But we'll do all that stuff and see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.